Robert Gummy Toomey, Season 2, Episode 11 of our GameChangers Podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about boxing, change the pace a little bit. Been talking a lot about footy, obviously, a little bit of boxing, a little bit of racing or whatever here and there. But yeah, tonight it's going to be all about boxing and life as well. So we've got former Australian champion, as I mentioned in the promo, Robert Gummy Toomey. So, Gum, fire away. We'll let you start. Tell us a little bit about your background, brother, where you grew up, where you're from, and what life was like growing up, where you grew up, brother.
Yeah, so I'm from Dubbo, mate, so 2830 out there, mate, and been out there for all my life, actually. Had a little stint on the Gold Coast with boxing, and then moved back home, mate, and started a couple of businesses back there. I've always been around Dubbo all my life, so yeah.
And Gum, talk to us a little bit about how you got into boxing, because you hear a lot of stories where a lot of young fellas especially turn to boxing because they've been bullied, or it's a way to counter mental health nowadays, or like I guess you wanted to learn how to fight to protect yourself because you grew up in tough neighborhoods. What was your story in getting into boxing?
Mate, back in the day, there was not much football around. So everyone used to go to the PCYCs at the back of Dubbo and all the way through to Bree. And they'd go to the PCYCs and train to learn how to fight, but they'd be traveling away every week, like every Saturday for boxing. That was every week. So heaps of people had heaps of fights because I was fighting every week, you know what I mean? And every different venues all around New South Wales. So it was fun, mate. So,
but how did you get into it? Like, did someone inspire? Did someone take you along?
Yeah, just all the boys, mate. You used to go there, so just want to be one of the boys. So we'll go there and mark around.
How long, or when did you start? But how long have you boxed up until your last sort of fight? And I think around 17 or something. Is that right?
17, yeah, I think, yeah. So I started with at the PCYC about 10, then a bit 14, and then went up to fight till about 16. Then you start playing football and mucked around with girls and all that kind of stuff. And then I come back into it when I was actually playing football, first grade, and then they wanted me to have a fight just to get back into it. So then I started. I cut out. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I cut out mine, but so I got back into it when I was about 20, 21, and then I turned. I'd done it for about 5 years, and then I turned pro when I was 25, 26, and then I finished when I was the 30s, 38 or something. So I was in the pros for about 15 years, 16 years.
Is that like, go back to the amateurs, right? What's the age that you have to be to fight? Like, what's the minimum age now? And has it changed over time, or was it younger back when you were playing?
It used to be 6 at one. It used to be 6 at one point in time. Then they changed to 10. Then from 10 now it's 14 in New South Wales, and every state's different. So Queensland's 12, Tasmania's 10, Victoria's 12. I'm pretty sure. So like you said, if you get your young kids into boxing when they're 10 or 11, they got to wait 4 years before they can actually compete, which is they get behind the other states straight away. Do you know what I mean?
But do a lot of them go and fight in a state because of the laws, or can you only fight where you're
trainers? Yeah, some trainers do train the boys up and do take them away. Like I said, I'm planning on taking a group of young people to Tasmania this year, actually, so they can have their first fights. And I've done it before. I've took out a few, like 10, 11 years old, 12-year-olds before. Just to give them that experience, before, saving weight around till 14.
And obviously, you as a trainer, like when you're talking about taking young fellas, it would have been like the PCYCs back in the day with the old fellas training new fellas up. Yeah. Is there an element of danger that age, as well? Like, do a lot of people sort of think it might be too young and the punishment they could take, or
they think that, but until once the parents have that initial thought, but as they go through it and they see it themselves, they come around. You know what I mean? The parents, don't worry about it, but it is pretty safe, mate. It's not, football, like you say, football. I think football is more worse or off now. All the head knocks and that now with them, but not to say you don't get hit, but I'm just saying like it's at that age.
And you're not going to throw fighters in that you don't feel are up to it and ready anyway, eh?
No, definitely.
Who inspired you, brother? Like when you're coming through, who were the fighters around when you young fellas were trying to make a feast of it? That you all sort of looked up to, even if it was around those amateur days. Were there any older boxers that you looked up to, or big names like on the Australian scene or the world scene?
There was a lot of good boys coming through, mate, and got lost at the back end of the amateurs. Do you know what I mean? Before they turn to you go into the pro system. There was a lot of boys like that. You got Simpson boys around. You had the Hoopers from Toowoomba. There was heaps of good boys coming around, mate. So, like I said, you always knocked around with them and stuff like that. And you wanted to, do the same stuff and.
Was there anyone back in the day in the gyms, that no one would jump in and spar? Or was everyone just jumping?
I think everyone gets in, mate. Like, I think you all get in. So,
amateur careers. So you didn't really have a favourite boxer, Gum? You didn't, like on the world scene, you try to mirror or anyone?
No, Lionel Rose.
Yep.
Yeah, I've met him a few times over the years. But probably him, mate. So.
Amateurs, how far did you take it, brother? Like, did you win any the Golden Gloves and stuff when you were coming through amateurs?
Yeah, you win the Golden Gloves. I won that in Tasmania actually, but you win New South Wales titles and stuff like that in the amateurs and stuff, and come through.
At what age did you win it? But at what age did you feel like? Because you talked about you had a bit of a gap, and you didn't come back till 21, and you didn't turn pro till you're 26. So, at what age did you feel like you were sort of making a feast, or you could have made it a bit of a feast of the professional game, or even in the amateurs, taking it further, and sticking to it? When did you feel like you were sort of starting to boom there as a young fella?
Probably, when I turned pro, probably about 29, 30, 31.
Yeah, okay.
It was probably the best. Yeah, that was probably the best time around that age. So
you feel through the amateurs. You said you boxed every weekend, but did you stick at it from sort of?
It was around for a while, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just interested to know why you waited until 26 to turn pro. Like, do you regret that now that you didn't go pro earlier, or do you feel like you just weren't ready earlier?
Yeah, probably wasn't ready. But that was good. Like I said, I was still playing football at that time too. You know what I mean? So I was balancing both.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, then I just wanted. I had to choose one sport. So I chose boxing. You know what I mean? So.
And like when we talk about footy, and I'll link it back to footy because I know a little about footy and the systems, right? It's obviously a team sport, so it's different from the get-go. But in footy, you get scouts and that sort of come out the games, and then they invite you down to trial and all those sorts of things. Are there always people out there that are watching the fights, and how do they get into the young fellas here to to maybe leave home and go and train with, some big name trainers? Is it too hard to do that because of money? And a lot of people get homesick, even the footballers and all that sort of stuff, but
all above, like you said, mate. I think you got to move to the big cities when you're early. Do you know what I mean? When you're young, but how are you going to do that? Do you know what I mean? Your parents can't afford that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you just got to do a lot of traveling, unfortunately, and stuff like that from out the bush, anyways.
And how do a lot of the fellas out in the bush fund a lot of that, or is it just all self-funded?
It's all self-funded.
Hard market to get into. How do you get your fights? How do you break in, brother, to make a bit of coin?
Yeah, that's like you said. You need good sponsors. Do you know what I mean? You get some good sponsors, and that just pays for. If you're professionally, it's obviously your weekly wage. You know what I mean? Or your hours that you put off for work, and then train for the 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever you come up with. Onto what level? Do you know what I mean? You're doing, but it's always self-funded. Yeah,
right. And it's hard too. Like a lot of blokes, I'd imagine, would just be sparring, to make a bit of coin as well, because they pay a certain amount to spar as well, when they're tuning boxes up.
No, mate, that's only the good boys will get.
Okay.
Get paid. You know what I mean? You spar for free basically, and help that other pro out, and vice versa. If you're getting ready for a fight, you need some good rounds of someone, so you'll go back and look to them kind of people. But people do get paid, but very, very, very rare. So
through the amateurs, what was some of your highlights? Talk to us a little bit about some of your highlights and some of the names you might have faced and got over top of in the amateurs. What were some of your highlights in the amateurs?
There's a few good boys down there. I don't remember their names, but down in Sydney, and like I said, coming from the bush and whatever, and on the main fights and stuff like that, and wasn't expected to win, but won and stuff like that. So stuff like that is good. You know what I mean? I remember that. And just competing at the back in the days, like when you're going back young, the run of titles used to be on all the time, and just tournaments like that. But they don't do that too much anymore, anyways, with the PCYCs anymore. But yeah, so it's all changed. It used to have the ABA, then you have the league and the ABA, so they kind of like compete with each other.
Yeah,
that's pretty. Yeah, that's.
Do you feel like that's a good thing for the sport, or is that sort of entities fighting against each other and sort of dividing it?
It'd be good to have one. It used to be just the ABA, but now it's the league. But like I said, I think the league run better for the pro style, but for the ABA, their system is for the Olympics and stuff like that. So two different pathways, I suppose. But like you say, all roads lead to one at the back end. Like, if you're good enough, you'll make it at the back end, and you'll be fighting against all of them anyways in the pros. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. So do you have to qualify if the league one is the one heading towards Olympics and that? And I mean, ABA is a program through the AIS.
No, the ABA is the one that goes through the Olympic system.
Okay.
In the league, yeah, but like I say, I let my guys fight in both, but if I want them to turn pro, the league is a bit better. I think it's a bit better going through that system.
So they can be registered in both, like with the organisations and the pros.
They can be. Yeah.
WBA, all those.
As long as you bring your blue book, you're fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Talk to us a little bit about your pro career, brother. And I know you're. Oh, that was like come straight on as soon as I said pro. That was your fight against Anthony Brownlee. But Talk to us a little bit about your pro career. I think I read the other day, 24 fights, 14 wins and 10 losses. Only
15 and 10, yeah.
15 and 10, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, like you say, in the boxing.
Only stopped once, is that right?
Say that again, mate.
Only ever stopped once?
Yeah, in the Australian title, yeah, the first one actually. But like you say, the 10 that's on there, but the only ones I really have is there's 3. Do you know what I mean? So Val Borg, Cambosis, and King Davison. They're the only ones I knew I lost. You know what I mean? So yeah, the other ones was that's just politics and boxing.
And we'll get to that a bit later because there's been a little bit even over the weekend. But a couple of weeks ago, I feel like Stevie Spark was robbed on the Canelo undercard as well. So in the pros, you moved to the Goldie, is that right? Who you sort of in a stable with their gum? Talk to us a little bit about what it takes to be a pro and what it sort of looks like day in, day out, the training regime and all those sorts of things. When you go into camp, when you're cutting weight, how long do you give yourselves? Talk to us a little bit about that, brother.
Yeah, well, it just all depends. Like with on the Gold Coast, I was with Tony Nobbs. I was with Tony Nobbs at the PCYC in Tweed Heads actually. Jamie Meyer was a big he's still promoting now actually. So I fought on a few of his cards and stuff like that, which was good. And yeah, what else did you want to write about the?
Just like what it looked like day to day for you, like training and stuff, and then how would you pick it up leading up to fights and stuff?
Yeah, at the start of it, I was still working too. Yeah. So like I said, you do your road runs early in the morning time, then you're working, then you're coming back, then you're going to the gym again. So you're trying to balance all of it, which is pretty hard because you're still working full time to pay the bills and that because they don't stop coming. You know what I mean? But yeah, like you say, then if you start getting some sponsors and stuff like that, they pay for that. It takes a bit of relief off, so you can get cut back to 20 hours a week, which is good. Do you know what I mean? Then they might pay you the other 20 hours. You know what I mean? So that was good.
In terms of eating and that gum, like obviously we look at all the big fighters and all these, the docos they do leading into big fights, and they got their own chefs and they're, out and about doing road runs, and is that unrealistic? I mean, that's just the top echelon, isn't it? We think that every pro fighter is going to be like that, but that's not reality, is it, brother?
No. Like you say, but you got to, once you commit, and like you say, as you're starting out, which is fine, you might get away with it for a little while, but when you're fighting at like the state levels and fighting for the Australian title and it's your full-time job basically. Which it did be at the back end, which is good. You know what I mean? So then, like you said, the last probably I was probably working for the first 3 years into it. And then opened, like I said, I opened gyms and stuff like that, and ran me businesses and stuff like that. So, which was great. But like I say, it's a hard gig. You know what I mean? To start out, but as you get on deeper into your career and you start making, half decent money, it's not bad. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And do you find a lot of boxers do that? Because, I mean, you look at individual sports like golf and that too. The pros, early on, they're probably doing a lot of lessons and getting a lot of money from that. So,
So like say, you're always in a gym. Like I used to like do PTs and stuff. I was in a gym from 5 in the morning till 8 at night, and you know what I mean. That was every day. Like I said, I missed the boys' footballs when they first started their football under 8s and 10s and stuff like that. So I missed out on that. And I think the first Saturday I had off was when Rome was playing under 13s, I think. First time I watched him. So it's not, like I said, he's only 17 now. So, so yeah.
Yeah,
So you miss out on a fair bit, but that's your job, and you love it. So yeah.
And sacrifices you have to make too that people don't see, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
What about they talk about boxing weight and walking around weight.
Yeah.
How much do a lot of fighters have to lose? The fighters sort of continue to train anyway? Because I wouldn't imagine that they'd let themselves go where they're like 10, 12, 15 kilo over their fighting weight, do they?
So
How hard would that? Like,
oh yeah. So well, like you
they're
said,
fighting weight and they're walking around weight. Is there a massive difference? Because I reckon Ricky Hatton used to get like 15, 20 kilo overweight and then knock it off in a couple of months leading up or whatever. What did you do, brother?
Yeah, so when I first started, I just finished. Obviously, I was still playing football, and I turned pro, so I was around that 70 kilos, 72, 73. So I was fighting at middleweight and all that stuff, where boxers these days go down like lighter than they go heavier through the years. But I went the opposite. So I started down at the like your 74s, then I come down in the pros all the way through to lightweight, which is 61 kilos. So yeah. But like,
was that because that's when you start to learn how to look after your body?
Yeah.
If you're starting late in the pros?
Yeah. You just like I said, everything's that's your full-time job. You're doing it, that's what you're doing day in, day out. Kind of and you like I said, you're practicing what you're preaching. Do you know what I mean? So but like I say, when I used to fight at 61, I'd weigh 61, and then the next morning I'd be 70 kilos. You know what I mean? So I put on
So walk around weight for you would be around 70, anywhere from 70 to 75.
If I was fighting, it'd be around 70. It wouldn't be much over 70, 71 max, but I'd feel a bit heavier, any more heavier. You know what I mean? Just sort of depends. Like I fought at 63 and a half, which is junior water, junior water. But then you don't go over your 70 kilos. Do you know what I mean? Like And I fought at 69, and you don't get much more heavier. You know what I mean? So.
And what were when you're training and you're leading up, brother? What were the foods that you just couldn't eat? You knew you just couldn't eat.
I was pretty strict, but with what I ate. Like, anyways, even when I wasn't.
Yeah. Okay.
But like I said, I think like McDonald's and stuff like that. Like I said, I had to cut off a lot of foods and stuff. Like you said, bread and all that. So I don't eat bread even today, and sugars and salt. Don't have that. Fizzy drink, none of that. It's just a good habit to get into, and you actually you keep continuing on after.
I want to talk to you a little bit about that in a minute, because like when I talk to even footballers, we talk about routine and sacrifice and some of the things you've already touched on. So I'll ask you that one next. But before we get to it, what do you think was the biggest difference between amateurs to pro, brother?
You got to do a lot more, put a lot more K's in your legs. That's what I learned that. Like you said,
fight styles different, Gun? Are the fighting styles different?
It's a bit different. Like you said, it's different. Like you said, it's better competition. Do you know what I mean? So you got to be on. Yeah, you got to be on par with it straight away. But as far as ability wise, I think, like you said, you get some good eminence too at the back end. Like if they're 16, 18. 19, 20, they're really good. 21, 22.
Yeah.
Before they just get turn pro, I
was watching a little bit of that Lomachenko Haney fight yesterday, and they talked a little bit about early on when he was tagging him in the body, and that comes from habits in amateurs. What are they talking about for us fellas that don't know much about boxing? What are they talking about when they say that sort of stuff?
Well, like I said, I watched that yesterday. But I had Haney up 2 points. So, and I thought, like I said, it was close, and there's a lot of controversy going back and forth. But I thought Hayden won by 2 points. I thought, but like I said, his game plan was to attack the body and then slow him down. You know what I mean? Because he's a good mover, so had to slow him down in the legs through the body. So if you start hitting the body early in the competition, your legs go at the back end of it. Do you know what I mean? And you move as slick as it would be if it wasn't getting touched. So it was a good, good move actually.
When they talk about that though, do they also mean like that through the amateurs you're not taught to focus too much on the body? Is it more sort of scoring shots around the head and that, is it? So they leave the body open a little bit more when they come in the pros?
Well, I think, mate, now that they teach the amateurs are training with the pros all the way through now. So they learn the body straight away. I think if you're a good trainer, you teach your amateurs straight away body shots all the time, you know. So
we got a couple of little yarns here while we're going along too. Caleb's talked a little bit about the night that he can remember the RSL rumble between you and Langy. Daniel Lang from Walgett, he reckons you're on fire that night. And then Robbie Olsen said to ask you a little bit about who made you look good in Buckley Shield back in the days.
Buckley Shield.
So that's for the people that don't know, Buckley Shield is a statewide under-14 rugby league competition.
Yeah.
What position did you play in league, Gum?
What did I play? Bit of halfback, bit of 5'8". Then at the back end was fullback. Actually, I like fullback. Didn't have to tackle too much, you know what I mean?
So talk to us a little bit about how you've set yourself up and you continue to train like you did back in the day. You know what I mean? When we talk about routine and discipline and what has it done for you as a person, boxing as a whole? But the fact that you still love the gym, Gum, and you still train daily, and you're still sparring with good boxers. And you're modest, so you might not talk about it, but that's up to you whether you want to mention who you spar from time to time. But what has boxing done for you, brother, like as a whole?
Yeah, like you said, mate, it's I don't know, set me up, I suppose, you know what I mean? I don't know, like I said, I do the same stuff all the time, you know what I mean? So I run every morning, even now. And, I can only do 5Ks at the moment. So I only do 5, that's all I do. And then I try and go to the gym 2 times a day. I'm training people now, so I'm at the gym in the afternoons. And then I try and do a gym session by myself before I have to train people. So, I don't know, it's good habits to get into. And, been doing it forever. So, I mean... And I'd like to sleep in, but I can't sleep in. I'm up early every morning.
But it's such a good thing, brother. Like for young fellas listening, I mean, the fact that I always talk about, like I got into bad habits when I was a young fella, and it carries on with you later on. You don't want to train. You didn't want to train when you were young. You don't want to train and get out of bed, when it's cold when you're older. You're the opposite, brother. How do you get into that sort of mindset, like? And why you're still doing it now when you don't really have to?
I don't know, mate. Like you said, I'm still sparring some good boys around, and they, so I'm actually in Melbourne tomorrow. I've got a young fella down there fighting on the zoo and Parker undercut. So I'm still doing a lot of stuff with him. I still spar him, and he's pretty good. And, I'm still, I like it. It's a challenge. Because it's not going to be forever. I mean, once I say that's enough, that's enough. If someone gives me a hard time, then I'll probably start saying, "Oh shit," I might just just stay on the sideline. But until then, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So
Where do you reckon you would have been without boxing, brother? Talk to us a little bit about your journey as a young fella. Was it a rugged little start? As a young fella, did you get into a bit of mischief? Did boxing sort of help you, or were you one of those stories that sort of boxing gave a bit of discipline to?
Definitely gave me discipline. Definitely gave me a lot of discipline. It was like I said, I got up to a lot of stuff with a lot of boys, but that's just growing up in the bush. You know what I mean? So
we talked a little bit about like being an individual sport that needs to be fun, and that was one of my questions that I wanted to ask as well. But I think you've touched on those with the two leagues that are out there and opportunities. Are there boxing promoters that hang around the amateurs, and try and sign fighters young as well?
they just sort of bit like you said. Most of the boys who's coming through the Olympic system, if they're good, they'll be already with a promoter. Do you know what I mean? Signed up. But like you said, it's one of the things you need backing from people. Do you know what I mean? Businesses or individuals. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, I've got Jack's fighting on Wednesday, and I mean he's still working full time now.
Yeah.
He's a concreter, So I think his boss gave him Saturday off, and now he's had Monday, today, and he's got tomorrow off and Wednesday. So he's only got 2 days off, I think, and he works full time. So, and like I said, it's we're chasing stuff up for him, so we're trying to help him out with sponsors and stuff like that. So yeah.
So how often do you get to see young Jack? Give him a plug. What's his name, brother?
Jack Moore.
Jack Moore.
From down Moala is. So like you said, he's
How often do you see him go? Like where you say you're training him, you're doing it with.
So there's a bloke down there that trains him, Matt Kennedy, who trains him day to day.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just help him get the right fights for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, sometimes he comes up to Newcastle and does, tries to do as many days as he can up here. But like I said, he's working full time. So, it takes it away hard because you can't say no to work because, anyone has any money kind of stuff to pay his bills and whatnot. But, I try and get down as much as I can, actually. So, yeah. But I'm always talking to him every day. So, yeah.
So, are there any, how many young boxers are you sort of looking after at any one time, Gum?
Oh, mate, back in the day, I used to look after a fair few, but now I don't, mate. Like I said, just make sure Jack gets the right fights and, help him out when I can. And, even my little cousin, Jaden Buan, he's from Sydney. He's really good amateur, just coming through, and they're talking about turning pro soon, actually. So, he's good. So I just make sure, just making sure they're getting the right fights, I suppose, and just, help them out whenever I can,
And when you talk about the right fights, Gum, you're talking about fights that, they don't sort of bite off more than they can chew, or, they're not throwing them in with guys that are, probably not up to their standard as well, because it's a double-edged sword, I suppose, too. You don't want to go in with someone with a 0-20 record and look awkward, or go in with someone that's sort of 15-0 as well. When you're coming through at the start, I'd imagine you look after them in that way, brother. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, look after them like that too. But yeah, like I said, the boys both had a lot of fights in them, and now. So they're like you said, Jack's open to fight. Not anyone, not everyone, but he's probably, there's only a few boys that I'd probably tell him not to fight, at his weight, which is a lot of weight he's fighting at 69 a mile, which is junior middle. But so I just make sure that they're not overmatched, or they're getting the right, even getting the right deals money wise and stuff like that too from the promoters and stuff.
Boxing, Australian boxing as a whole, Gum, and this is from me as a league supporter. I've sort of only started watching, really, like I said to you before we went live. I think the first fight I ever watched was Kostya Tszyu versus Jake the Snake Rodriguez. That's the first boxing fight I've ever remember sort of watching on TV. Obviously, Rana titles, we love watching them as kids because a lot of the time they were in Bree, so we watched a lot of local fighters in Bree take on, blokes from right around the bush as well. But professionally, that's the first fight I've ever seen. But is it ignorant of me as a league fan to think that boxing was on its knees and blokes like Chock and that sort of brought it back and put it back on the big screens?
I think he did, mate. Yeah, he definitely did. Like I said, he had the profile, I suppose, with the football NRL, and so that made the platform a bit easier for him to get through. Do you know what I mean? And he wasn't relying on sponsorships or money or whatever. You know what I mean? So, but but like I said, I think he'd bring it back. So, and for the better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I mean, like I said, like I sort of only knew Rose, Fennick, Zoo, and Harding was a name around back then too, and I probably wouldn't have known like guys like in terms of Aboriginal boxers, Hector Thompson and Tony Mundine and these sort of fellas if I didn't sort of watch it a lot more when Chock came through, and start to love it a little bit more. So
like I said, I think he brought more viewers to the sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And transform it over. So for the better. So yeah, it was good. Yeah.
But I guess the flip side to that, Gum, is how do the pure boxers feel as well about a lot of these fellas coming from different codes, like especially footy and that, coming over and getting these headline fights straight away, YouTubers and stuff, getting all these headline fighters. When you talk about how hard the pure boxers that have come right through amateurs that know the game inside and out, still working 5-6 days a week, and these fellas come across and get big money fights, their first ever fight in some cases. How does that make the boxers feel, brother? I would imagine you've had a lot of conversations with the brothers over the years.
Like I said, I don't mind it now. Like what I mean, when they first come over. Well, I don't know. Like you said, it's different platforms now because you've got so much social media going around. Back in the day, there was no social media or none of that YouTube stuff. Do you know what I mean? But now the platforms have got better and there's more, like more eyes on the sport. So they make it good for the sport, I suppose. The next generation coming through of boxers. So it's actually a good thing, I think, that there's more viewers and more opportunities and stuff like that for the boys now. Not so much the people who's coming over and never had a fight, but they've got a big following and stuff like that, and they make big coin. Well, half their luck, I suppose. But yeah, I don't mind.
So, do you feel being in the sanctum for a lot of years, Gum, that it wasn't so much a bit of a slap in the face for you fellas? You sort of liked it. Do you feel like a lot of boxers aspired to be on the big stage because of the exposure it was getting early sort of 2000s there? Or do you feel like a lot of them went the other way and went, well, like this, like all these fellas don't even fight and they coming across and getting these, and what's the point,
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's just an individual thing. I don't mind either way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't really affect me too much, so I don't really have a big opinion about it, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I just stick in my own lane and I just do my own stuff.
Yeah. Corruption in boxing, brother. We talked a little bit about. You talked about it yourself as well, like feeling like it sort of went against you. You got 10 on your actual card, and you feel like you only had 3.
Yeah.
There's a bit about even the weekend just gone, but Stevie Spark a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
What happens? Like, how do judges become judges? Do they get reviewed year to year? Like, how do they keep getting the big fights?
So, no, mate, like you said, I think the promoters have got a big say who they have in their corner, I suppose. You know what I mean? What refs and judges and stuff like that. And like I said, I watched that Stevie Spark one, and like you say, that was a pretty bad decision actually. Yeah, even like I was actually in Sydney yesterday and watched the Haney fight, and a lady, she was 60, and said, "Oh, what about Stevie Sparks?" And I was thinking she wouldn't know who Stevie Sparks was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because his name's just coming through, and he said, "Oh, he got ripped off." I mean, yeah, so she knows something, and like you said, you know who wins. It's exactly the same. Same in amateurs, same in the pros. It's not going to change. I don't think, even though you'd like it to change.
Yeah, because I talked a little bit yesterday about that fight with Lomachenko, especially the 10th round was one-sided in the 10th, and one of the judges gave it to Haney, but I think Teddy Atlas, who trained Mike Tyson there for a lot of years, but was a good trainer. He talked a little bit about maybe judges having the front, the commission or a board, or having one body or something, like for this sort of stuff to stop. There needs to be some sort of accountability as well.
Well,
Like in terms of boxing in Australia, how does that work here?
that'd be good if they do change that, and like the judges have to go back over their scorecards and explain to someone how they scored that. You know, and I know they've got three different views on the ring, but they're that close. Like they can see who's winning, who's not. You know what I mean? You know who's winning, who's not. It's pretty clear cut actually, but yeah. It's like it'd be like football, and you was in front and you kicked it, and they said no, you didn't kick it, and that was the decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy, eh? And I mean, you talked a little bit about fixing fights and promoters having a lot to say as well, but yeah, it's just crazy, like watching it and seeing a couple of these decisions lately of how blatant it is, that they do the wrong thing by the fighters and that as well. Talk to us a little bit, brother, about the difference between boxer, promoter, trainer. How have you enjoyed all three? Talk to us about the differences with all three as well, eh?
Well, obviously with fighting, you're always training. You know, you love that. You love it while you're doing it. Do you know what I mean? It is enjoyable. But in saying that, when you go to coaching too, you like coaching and getting boys on good cards, or when they're fighting for something. You get rewarded for it. You know what I mean? Which is good. I like that. You know, that side. And being a promoter, that's good. A lot of work in it, but you're always on your, it's pretty hard work actually. But like I said, probably the best is training someone to do something good, you know what I mean? And you change their life, I suppose,
Yeah.
A step. So, but
When you're promoting a fight, and say you had one in Dubbo, you said it late last year, eh? And your young fella Rome had a fight on that night. Talk to us about, what do you look at, like, for outsiders that know nothing about the inside of boxing? How do you make the matches? Like, how do you match make? Is there a list that you look at? Is there a website you look at? Do you just call trainers that you know?
Yeah, you obviously you just know trainers from around the trap, and you go to their shows, vice versa, and support them, and they will support you. Do you know what I mean? And then as far as matchmaking, you try and make it like fair as you can. You know, like you said, you don't want to put someone over the top. That's going to be a disadvantage so bad, because at the end of the day, like someone will, like their parents, they've got to go back to their parents and whatever, do you know what I mean, or their friends or whatever, and you don't want to embarrass them in front of people, do you know what I mean? You want to try and give them the best fights for them, so everyone enjoys it. When it's one-sided, it's not fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you get that balance right, all the crowd loves it. So you just try and get that balance and stuff like that, and like say a lot more lot of trainers are all different. Like I said, some are strong, have really strong boys, some haven't so much. So I mean, you just got to know, what boys. And if you're around the boxing, you know all the boys anyway. You know what they can do, what they can't do, I suppose. And like you said, as far as for me, I still can spar all the boys now anyway. So I get a gauge where they're up to and what level they're on. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And when you're sparring and you're working with all these boys anyway, are they dropping names to you about different people around the traps as well?
Not really. Like you just because
okay.
because I still do a lot of sparring with a lot of people, so I still know who's around, who's not. You know what I mean? And stuff. So.
How far do you travel now, for sparring? In the last sort of couple of years, how far have you travelled to help someone out with sparring?
Well, like I said, probably down in Victoria, down in Moala, on the Victorian border actually. But yeah, I go down there a fair bit and do a lot of stuff with Jack. And so I don't know, go around Sydney, do a lot of stuff in Sydney. Just bit of everywhere actually.
Talk to us a little bit before we finish up. Talk to us a little bit about some of the fighters that were your toughest opponents. Some of the fighters that might have been the most skillful but didn't make it. Some of the names that we haven't heard of, and some of the fighters that you fought coming through that went on and made a little bit of a name for themselves as well.
Probably, like I said, there's a lot of good boys that have fought in the pros and stuff, and they're not fighting now, obviously. But probably the one name comes through was Cam Bosis. When I fought him for the Australian title back in 2014 or 15, he went on and done what he done. You know what I mean? Undisputed lightweight champion, which is awesome for him and for Australia. But I don't know. There's a lot of boys, like even like Val Ball was another strong young kid, but I don't think he's doing much these days. Still in Penrith. But, even like King Davison, who's a good boy, Johnny Lewis looked after. He didn't go on to do much after I fought him, kind of thing. And I don't even know where he's at. I think he's in England or something at the moment. But there's a lot of good boys around that I've fought. You know what I mean? Even like Israel Carney was another fella. He was a 76 kilo champion when I moved to the Gold Coast, and they wanted me to fight him, and I went, yeah, well, that's my only fight. That's the only option I had, you know. So it didn't matter. Yeah, still I beat him, but I mean, I shouldn't have fought him at 76. You know, I should have been down lighter, you know. But when someone wants to fight you and you say no, you feel like you know what I mean. It's like you're scared, which you're not. Until you get that mindset that it's business, you know what I mean. But yeah, stuff at the back end of it, you know.
What about the big fights? Like you talk about reputation, different things that people might perceive, you know, in the public. Talk about one of the biggest ones in Australian boxing is Zarafa and Zoo. What have you got any inside mail why Zarafa didn't take the fight, or was it what you just talked about then, where people might have thought he was a bit scared? Was there other things behind the scene, or did he just run?
Was it? Yeah, he pulled out on the week of the fight, wasn't it? And I don't know. I like it. Yeah, I hear all different stories of why he didn't do it. But yeah, I don't know. Like it could have been a number of things. I think he wanted probably more money or whatever. But in that day, it was COVID when they was fighting, and apparently it could only have X amount of people come up. So, and like I said, I think he's got a half decent following too. So I think no one could travel up from Melbourne. So that's probably, you know, his wife or whatever, his girlfriend or his family or mum and dad couldn't come up. So I think he might, like fought if there's only going to be 4 people or 5 people, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna where Tim is here. You know what I mean? Up here with all his family and all that stuff. Where he wasn't. Maybe that's one, or maybe money. I'm not sure, but I'll ask around tomorrow in Melbourne.
What about big fights? And I talk to you when I talk fighting with you. I talk about the fights that everyone wants made, but they just don't happen. Like your Canelas and your Benavides, and now you got young Morel there, and Bival's in the mix in that sort of little quartet. But then you got Spence and Bud Crawford as well. Like, why do these fights not be made? Like, is it promoters just don't want to lose the big fish?
It's definitely politics, but like I said, there's too much money that the promoter's going to lose if, do you know what I mean? If he takes that fight and loses, I suppose. But on the other side of it too, if they do win, when there's the other side of it, then they're going to make more money. But I mean, the boys get comfortable with what they're making and they don't want to risk anything, you know what I mean? But as far as like Canelo fighting, what's his name?
Benavides.
No, Benavides.
Bivol.
That's not. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think he'll fight Benavides. I think they'll make that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Hopefully. A little bit of life stuff while we finish up, my brother. You're doing a lot of mentoring stuff now as well with the classes you do in the afternoons and stuff with young fellas. You've got Pound for Pound as well. Talk to us a little bit about what you do there and what your intentions are with these young fellas, and what sort of background are they coming from?
Like you said, I've only just moved down to Newcastle full time. Just the youngest one's in year 7 down here now, so I can't too much can't do too much, you know what I mean? Work wise, as far as going away and stuff like that. But now, like I said, I rent a bit of space at a gym in Belmont, so I'm always there. And like I said, I've started getting back into not classes, but training people again, some PTs and stuff like that. And I'm starting to go back into schools. I do a bit of stuff for NDIS stuff. And then kids, just come from different backgrounds, exactly the same as me, disadvantaged and whatnot, coming up and tough. But and you try and give them the best advice and best guidance. But I think the best way you can show them, is tell them is to show them how to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's no good to tell them how to do it. Better off showing them, practical.
Yeah, and so what are you hoping that they take away from being in PT sessions with you, short term, long term? What are you hoping are some of the sort of traits or qualities that they take away from their time that they spend with you, my brother?
I think, like you said, especially with the young ones, they know, like if you, they know that you don't mean like you're not talking BS to them. Do you know what I mean? You're not talking shit to them, whatever, and they know they can sense that and they respect you for it. You know what I mean? Like I said, we just started another program on Friday, so I spent 2 hours with all kids, disadvantaged kids around Newcastle. So that's and it's going for 10 weeks, and there's going to be 10 different locations around Newcastle we're going to be doing. Last week, the first week was at the gym actually. So this week, I don't know what we're going to have to book it in to where we're going. So we just go around, ovals, or go to the beach, do a bit of boxing, a bit of football, or whatever, whatever everyone decides. And like I said, my best way is telling that story to show them how to do it. Do you know what I mean? And What's
are they open sessions? And I asked that for for any of the viewers that are watching now or watch a little bit later on, how can people that are living around Newey, get a little bit of PT from you, a bit of advice, or even chime in on these sessions? Are they closed or can anyone attend? How do they find out the info, Gum?
Like you say, I'm not on no social media. So I just go through Rome, you know what I mean? Rome's account. So if they want, mate, just go through Rome, or even shoot me. You've got my email there, Sean. So I mean, shoot me an email. That's probably the best way to get hold of me. And like I said,
so you want to drop that now, Gum? I think it's KM Tremaine, isn't it? KM TREMAIN
at bigpond.com. Yeah.
At bigpond.com. If you ever want to get Gum, utilize him for different programs, you want to get a block program, you want to just give him a call or reach out to him and get some more information. KMTREMAIN at bigpond.com.
Yeah.
So hopefully
that'd be the easiest way of doing it. Or if you like on Facebook, just go through my son's account, Ryan.
Ryan Termy, yeah.
He's my
All
PA.
Right. He's your PA, yeah. All right, to finish up with, brother, you've done a couple of these fight nights, benefit nights. Last year, the boys got the privilege and opportunity to play in a memorial team for your late wife. Talk to us a little bit about the setbacks that you fellas have had as a little family as well. You've got two young boys, lost their mum to cancer. How has life been for you guys, and how long has Cara been gone now, brother? And how do you sort of moving forward with the boys? You know, does the boxing still take your mind away from it? Does it?
Yeah, like you said, it's been October be 4 years actually.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've got to get back into boxing. You know what I mean? So took a little time away from it, but like I said, now I'm starting to get back that good feeling again. You know what I mean? So like I said, I've stuck myself out there all them years, but then I went away for 2 years, 3 years. But like I said, starting to get back into doing classes and training people again and going away to fight nights again. So like I said, it's it's one day at a time. You know what I mean? So, but yeah.
For people like me, brother, who never got the opportunity to meet her, what sort of person was she? And I think Ram talked about her being the drive behind a lot of the stuff that you did as well, especially through business and that. So talk to us a little bit, if you don't mind, if you're comfy, brother, like a little bit about who Cara was and what made her who she was. You know what I mean?
I don't know, mate. Like you said, don't know, mate. Like you said, it's like you said, she helped me, mate. She, like you said, what's your dream? I'd tell her, and I said, what do you want to do? Like, and I said, I'll win an Australian title. I want to do this, and she goes, let's do it. And like you said, I don't know. We won. We ended up winning 2 in the end, but yeah.
Yeah, so she would action it. You would say it. She would action it. Right? Make sure, kick your ass, and get you in the gear, and make sure you chase them, mate. Chase your dreams.
Yeah, definitely. So,
what with the boys? I know Cruz he's talking about fighting in Tasmania. Rome's had a couple of fights. Would you like them to sort of walk the same path as you? Are you one of them parents that'll go, oh, no, don't do boxing, you know, with everything that you sort of went through and you know the rigors of it all? How you sort of, I guess, guiding them along their journey?
Oh, like I said, I think the boys love football, mate. So being Indigenous, mate, they love their football, you know. But like I said, I don't mind whatever they do, you know. I'll support them regardless. But like I said, Cruz will have his first fight in Tasmania at the end of the year. So looking forward to that, and I think he is too. So Rome's, I don't know, like Rome can do it if he wants, but I mean, he's been in the gym since he's been in the gym since he's been 2 years old with me. I used to take him in there with his bottle and stuff, and yeah, he used to just sleep on the floors and stuff. So I mean, he's been around boxing where Cruz hasn't. I kept him away from that boxing side, but now he's actually liking boxing. Do you know what I mean? So I think he likes boxing more than football, but we'll see how he goes after come back from So if he does or not, but whatever that is, decide to do, mate, and like you say, I'd like him to get an apprenticeship or whatever, you know. They're going to get an apprenticeship, they need to get young, you know, get something behind them. So, yeah.
Before we let you go, proudest moment in your career, brother?
What is it, sorry? Huh? That's his connection, is it?
You got me back?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to finish off, proudest moment in your career, biggest inspiration?
Oh, biggest. I don't know. Everyone, like you say, you when you have your kids, I suppose, you know what I mean? That's your best time. I don't know. There's been a lot of good times. Probably on par. But I mean, don't know. Winning the Australian title was pretty special. But yeah, like I say, I think the boy's mum was probably the biggest.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like you say, for what she's done for me personally, I'll never forget it. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Thank you for coming on, brother. I know that a little bit touchy there in the end as well. You know, like hard to talk about, but I think for me it's been great because I love boxing, but obviously we're just like the little average punter on the street where we think we know everything about boxing, but we know diddly squat. So it's good to get a little bit of an insight into that, but also your career and what you're doing afterwards as well. I think is the key because you're taking all the tools that you learn and you try and pass that on to young fellas as well, to make them better people overall as well. So I commend you on that, brother, and appreciate you for coming on tonight. And congratulations on the career you had too, brother. You know.
Yeah.
Takes some time to get into the ring. TAB.
No, we may not. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, don't do too much with this stuff. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So
a little bit out of your comfort zone. So it was good. Yeah. Good that you come on, brother, and open up a little bit because you're a pretty reserved sort of fella, humble but quiet as well.
Yeah.
Might have to slip a few drinks in you, man. Liven you up a bit.
Don't say that.
And thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it. And I know the viewers will appreciate it too. And we'll see you soon, eh? And hopefully get a few more people as well sort of come on and take on those classes and school groups, community groups, holiday program groups, whoever it is, guys. If you want to utilise Gum and the tools that he can give young ones in community now, make sure you reach out. Again, we'll give it one more plug, KMTREMAIN @bigpond.com. Jump on there. Any parting words, my brother?
No, all good, mate. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Yeah, I think it's a bit easier than I thought, but yeah, anyway, that's all good.
Definitely. All right, appreciate it.
Bye.
Thanks again for joining us, guys. We'll see you next Monday, a couple of days out from Origin, and we've got Scotty Sattler, former Queensland great, former Panthers great, and the son of a legend who has recently passed as well, John Sattler. So we'll talk to Scotty Sattler next Monday on the eve of Origin. All right,
All right,
we'll see you then. Thank you.